Hey guys, Bearded Nate, welcome back to the channel. In this week's video, we are going to be rating all of the Sword and Shield alternate arts from S tier all the way down to shit tier. Let's go. Okay, so I saw on a Discord somewhere someone had made this tier maker where you can rate all of the Sword and Shield alternate arts up to date, excluding Crown Zenith, I believe, from S tier all the way down to D. I've added a new column myself called shit tier because we both know that there are definitely some absolute shitters in the alternate art game. However, looking through them, I'm a bit worried which ones are not going to make the S tier because they are pretty good this time round. So let's just start from the top. The first one is going to be the Beedrill alt art from memory. I want to say this is Astral Radiance, or is it Brilliant Stars? Who cares? Beedrill is an absolutely stunning alternate art. I'll try and have all of the alternate arts in their full picture as this video is being edited. Straight away, I'm going to put Beedrill in A tier. It's not the best alternate art in Sword and Shield, that is for sure. But starting off strong with an A for the Beedrill alternate art. Coming in next is the Hisuian Lilligant from... Oh god, I'm going to get these sets all wrong. This might have been Astral Radiance, or maybe this was Brilliant Stars as well. Who knows? I'll put up the set name as well. It is quite good. It's definitely, like, looking down below, there are some absolute bangers in this set. Hisuian Lilligant has that feel there. It looks like a Pachirisu in the tree. You got some of the Pokemon swimming around in the water. I'm going to say B tier for the Hisuian Lilligant. Moving on, we then have the Origin Form Palkia. This card, I've actually got this card and it is stunning in real life. Probably up in the A tier with the Beedrill. Do we give it an S tier? No, I know a couple of cards that we'll be saving for the S tier. But definitely a solid A for the Palkia. Okay, moving on, Machamp alternate art. This is probably a lot of people's favourite card. I'm not too fussed about it. I wouldn't say it was shit. It definitely isn't shit. From memory, it has that little Trapinch there in the corner looking at him. I'm going to say a solid C. Or maybe have I said solid for A, B, and C? I'm going to say I'll give it a nice, steady C tier for the Machamp alternate art. Then we move into the Hisuian Sneasler. Or is it just a Sneasler? I can't remember. This card, I don't know. They could have done something better with it. It's not great. The Pokemon is quite small in the card. I'm going to probably give this our first shit tier card. Okay, moving on. So this is, without the doubt, our first S tier. The Origin Form Dialga. I love this card. I love this card so much that I love this card so much that you can even tell that it's the background on my phone and I've got a notification. Check your weekly report. I've used my phone for 4.5 hours, less than usual. So there we go. The Origin Form Dialga is without a doubt probably... Oh, I don't know if it's too early to say it's my favourite card, but it is definitely up there. Okay, moving on next, we have the Charizard from Brilliant Stars. I know that for sure. And I love this card, not because it's Charizard, but because there's a Venusaur in the background. Although the Venusaur could have been a little bit bigger. I'll give this card a nice B, a nice rounded B. It's not my favourite Charizard card with a Venusaur in. There is another one, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it was a Japanese promo years ago. I'll pop it up on screen so you'll know what I'm talking about. Then we have Lumineon. Yeah, it's a nice card. Lumineon, not my favourite Pokemon. I'm going to give this card a pretty crappy D. It is better than the Sneasler, that's for sure, but not quite up in the C and above tiers. We then have the Honchkrow. Oh, I do have a soft spot for this Honchkrow. It's not one of the better alternate arts, but we'll give it a nice solid C to go along with that Machamp. Then we have the Arceus alternate art from Brilliant Stars. Being the god of all Pokemon, the cards definitely have to stand out. This one, I don't know, not so much. I think I actually prefer the other alternate art, the promo Arceus from the Arceus V-Box. So for that reason, I'm going to bump it down. I'm going to give Arceus... Oh, actually, I think I'm going to give it a C. I was thinking a B, but I think I'm going to put Arceus alternate art down to a C. We then have the Empoleon. Unfortunately, with the Empoleon, you're always comparing it to the other big alternate art in battle styles, and that is the Tyranitar, which I can see is coming up. So for that, I'm going to give the Empoleon a D. I wouldn't say it was shit. I really like the fact that it's doing that pose with the Mine Chow, and the Flinks are kind of like broken up and they're sitting on his little flipper there. Then we have the, which one is this? Is this the single strike Urshifu? It's not my favorite. I'm going to give this a shit tier. The Urshifu alternate arts really weren't my cup of tea, and I'm going to give the Rapid Strike one a shit tier as well. Then we have the Tyranitar, and this is probably a lot of people's favorite. I'm going to give this, or do I give it an S tier or do I give it an A tier? I'm going to give it an A tier. I don't think it quite well meets the S tier requirements, which I'm just making up off the top of my head, obviously. But when trying to compare it to the Dialga, I just think it's just sits just below the Dialga in my eyes. Then we come up to the Urshifus, and this is the Urshifu Single Strike VMAX alternate art, right? Again, I'm going to give that a shit tier. It's not great, but I've said that for all of the previous 3 Urshifus. When we come to the Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX alternate art, that card is stunning. It's not up there with, I wouldn't say it's up there with the Beedrill, the Tyranitar. I'll give it a, do I give it a B? Yeah, let's stick it in B and stick it alongside the Lilligant and the Charizard for now. Okay, moving on to the Ice Rider Calyrex, and comparing this to the Shadow Rider. Is it Shadow Rider Calyrex? I can't think. I'm going to give this a D tier. It's not the best alternate art. Definitely in tier with the Empoleon and Lumineon. Then we come to the Zeraora from Chilling Reign. I love this card. It was one of my big chasers in Chilling Reign. I'm going to give Zeraora an S tier in regards to its alternate art. It is a stunning, stunning card. Next up is the Galarian Rapidash, again from Chilling Reign. I think we're in the Chilling Reign era here. This is a great card as well. It's not one of the best. You only really see its head. I would have liked a full body of Rapidash. I'll give this a D tier. It is a nice card. It's just not one of the best ones. Okay, up next is the Galarian Articuno with that big old moon in the background. This is a really nice card. This is going straight to A tier. No questions needed. Okay, here comes the Shadow Rider Calyrex with the little Squovet in the background. I definitely prefer this over the Ice Rider. So I gave the Ice Rider a D. So I'm not going to give it too much more. I'll bump it up to the C. I think it deserves it. We then have the Galarian Zapdos, or the Roadrunner card as people like to call it. This is great. I don't think it quite meets the requirements to sit alongside Articuno. So I'll give this card a B tier. And the Moltres. This is quite a few people's favourite cards, but there's something about it. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm going to give the Moltres, the Galarian Moltres alternate art, just a C tier. I may get some backlash for that in the comments, and let me know your thoughts of all of these cards down below. We then have the Galarian Slowking, and this is really, this card is like Marmite. You either love the artwork or you hate it. Not many people like the artwork of some of these cards. I can't think off the top of my head who the artist is. I'll put the name up on screen now. But for me, I'm not a fan of these cards. I'm going to put the Galarian Slowking into the shit tier. I'm really sorry to people that love this guy's artwork. It's just not my cup of tea. We then have the Blissey, and again, it's really simple and straightforward. I'll give this a shit tier. We then have the Tornadus, and I don't think I've seen this card in hand. Unless I have it, I really can't remember. By that means, the fact that I've forgotten it, it can't be that all of a great card. So I'm going to give the Tornadus, I don't feel like it deserves a shit tier. Not quite Blissey. I'll give this a D tier just for now. We then have, okay, we're into the VMAXs of Chilling Reign. We have the Blaziken, and I believe this is literally the biggest chase card in Chilling Reign. It has got quite a nice price tag to it. Again, along with the Galarian Slowking, I'm not quite sure how I feel about the artwork. I will give it to you. It's a great card. It's got the Inteleon in the background on top of that skyscraper. I'm going to give it a D, and again, I'm going to get a lot of backlash for that. It's just not my favourite. We then come into both the VMAX Calyrexes. We've got the Ice Rider. Again, I'm not a big fan. I'm giving this a shit tier. But when we come to the Shadow Rider, I feel like Shadow Rider is wrong. It must be right. I'm going to give the Shadow Rider a C tier. It's not as good as the V in my eyes, but it's definitely better than the Ice Rider. Okay, this is where it gets interesting, and this is where we may get a little bit of backlash from people watching this video. We're on to the Evolutions alternate arts. The first one is the Leafeon. Leafeon being my favourite evolution, I'm giving this a really good grade of an A. Not an S tier by any means, absolutely not. But I love the fact that it's just sitting on that pile of awesome leaves. Such a great card. We have the Glaceon. Really good, not my favourite. I think I prefer the VMAX over the V. So we'll give this a C tier. Now, Espeon, unfortunately, guys, as much as I love Espeon, I was really not a fan of the V card. So I'm going to give this a D. Because it's an evolution, I'll keep it out of shit tier for now. But for the Espeon V alternate art, it's going into the D. We then have Golurk. Quite a forgettable card. It's not terrible. Looking at all of the other cards that I've given a shit tier, I'll give this a D alongside the Espeon. It's not great. Sylveon alternate art V is a really nice card. I'm trying to think of what the VMAX looks like, and I'm looking at it there. Do I prefer the V or the VMAX? I think I prefer the V, and for that reason, I'll give the Sylveon V alternate art B tier. Then we move on to the Medicham. I really don't like this alternate art card. Straight into the shit column. We then have Umbreon, and this is probably where I'm going to get a lot of shit talked about me, because I actually prefer the Umbreon V over the VMAX, and for that reason and that reason alone, I am giving the Umbreon V an S tier. I love this card, and I'm so gutted I never got to pull it. Next up is the Dragonite V, and yes, it is a nice card. Is it one of the better ones? No. I'm going to give this a C tier. It's okay. I don't know. There's just something about it. No. I'm going to bump it up to a... No. Sod it. I'm keeping it a C. Dragonite V alternate art is a C. We then have the Rayquaza, and I'm making sure that I put this card above the VMAX. I'll give the Rayquaza V a B grade. It is a stunning card. I really, really like it. But the VMAX, when that comes up, we're bumping that down. Next up is one of my all-time favourite alternate arts, and that is the Noivern V, the Batman card, people like to name it. And that is going straight up to the S tier. I love this card, and when I got this card, I had to buy it. I never got to pull it, but the centering on mine is beautiful. I must get it sent off to PSA. Next up is the Duraludon, and it's okay. It's got Raihan in it. I'll give it a D tier. It's not the best. Actually, no. Let's knock it down to a shit tier. It's really not that great, is it? Next up is the Leafeon VMAX alternate art card, playing with that bale of hay. It's not quite as good as the V in my opinion, so we'll bump it down to a B. No, I'll bump it down to a C. It is a great card, but there are just some absolute bangers that are coming up next. Next up is the Glaceon VMAX, and I definitely prefer this over the V. Actually, do I? Looking at the V now, I feel like I'm changing my mind. I'll give it the same tier. I'll give the Glaceon V and the VMAX a C grade. They are really nice cards. Next up is the Sylveon VMAX, and I definitely prefer the V over the VMAX. In actual fact, I'm not that much of a fan of the VMAX, so for that reason, I'll bump the Sylveon VMAX down to a tier. And next up, this is going to be the big divider of this video, I think. The Moonbreon card, the Umbreon VMAX. I really do not like it compared to the V. It's not a horrible card. Do I prefer it over the Leafeon and the Glaceon? No, I don't. So I think I'll give it the same grade as the Leafeon and Glaceon, and we'll leave it in C for now. I might change my mind a bit later. Next up is the big boy himself, Rayquaza VMAX. I hate this card. It is going straight to the shit tier. And I'm even going to put the Duraludon VMAX right next to it. These two cards, I don't know what it is about the Ray VMAX. Just, it looks weird, and the background of the forest, it just, I don't know, something about it just feels all wrong to me. Next up, okay, looks like we're into the Fusion Strike cards, and next up we have the Celebi V alternate art. This is going straight to the S tier. It is one of my favorite cards, Celebi being a really great Pokemon as well. I remember seeing this card alongside, I think it was the Sandaconda. These two were released in Japan a lot earlier, or they were revealed in Japan a lot earlier, and I just fell in love with the Celebi alternate art, and for that reason it's going into S tier. Next up is the Mew V card. Not my favourite. I definitely prefer the V Max. I don't know. I do like the fact that there's a load of Pokemon around it. You've got the Smeargle. You've got, is it the Toxtricity is with it as well? And it looks like there's a couple of others that I can't think. I'm going to give it a D tier because, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of it. There's definitely other cards that I like. Next up is Sandaconda. Now, I do like the Sandaconda, and not many people do. I don't think it deserves a shit tier, but it doesn't deserve anything else. I'm going to give it a D tier just because it's not shit and it is fun. I do like it. It's like laying next to the radiator, keeping itself warm, but I realise a lot of people don't like it. Next up is the Genesect Breakdancing card, and this is going straight up to the A tier. One absolutely stunning card with the Smeargle in the background. Listening to the music and watching him dance. It's not an S tier by any means, but it's still a great card. Okay, next up is the Greedent, and that is going straight into the S tier. No need to say anything further on that. Greedent's an absolute bellend. We then have the Inteleon VMAX, where he's sniping from the top. I'll give this a D tier. It's not the best one. Next up, again, is the Mew VMAX. I do definitely prefer this over the V, and for that reason, we'll bump it up to a C grade. I really like how it encompasses like the London theme, where you got the bus and the post box inside. People really thought this card was kind of hinting towards the UK getting the Pokemon Center, and the Pokemon Center website did come out after this card was released, so maybe it did tie in a little bit. Next up is the Espeon VMAX card. That's going straight into B tier. It's definitely my favourite over the Espeon and Umbreon. I love that it's just falling asleep on top of a house. We then have the Ginga VMAX alternate art. I almost said ultra rare for some reason. That's going straight into A. We then have, what do we have here? The Rotom. I really don't like Rotom at all. That's going straight into shit tier. No, let's bump it up to D. Let's bump it up to D. I hear what you're saying. We'll leave Rotom in D. Oh, Aerodactyl. This is probably my second favourite, just after the Noivern. Aerodactyl V alternate art. I still don't have that card. I must buy it at some point. That's going straight into S tier. I love all the prehistoric Pokemon down below. We then have the Berserker. I really don't like that card. It's a weird smiling mouth. Nope, sod that. Giratina. Now this must be the same artwork as the Galarian Slowking, right? But I do prefer it a little bit more, so for that reason, we'll pop it up into D. We then have the Mewtwo from Pokemon Go. It's okay. It gives us that feeling back to that. Do you remember that very original Pokemon Go trailer where it was Pikachu and a few other Pokemon jumping towards? I'll give it a D. No, I'll give this a C. I'll give the Mewtwo a C because I know what's coming up, and it's the Gerda. What's his name? I can't bloody think what his name is. Either way, it's shit. Absolute shit tier. Let's put him there. We've then got the Unknown V. Shit tier. Absolute shit alternate art. Skuntank. I'm not a big fan of this Pokemon, but its alternate art is really, really nice. But nowhere near C or above tier. We'll give that a D. Regidrago, again, another D tier. I don't know. It's just, it doesn't stand out. I always forget that Regidrago alternate art exists. But next up is the Lugia, and that is going straight into the A tier. Now, Lugia alternate art, don't get me wrong, is an absolute fabulous, amazing card. But I don't know. I feel like it doesn't deserve the S tier myself. We'll see what other people say in the comments. Then we have the promo cards left. So next up is the first up is the Flareon V. I'm not sure if the Flareon is lighting the fire or it's just lit the fire and now it's having a little cozy sit next to it. Flareon V alternate art definitely is a B tier. The VMAX, I think personally, is shit. I don't like the VMAX. Then we move on to Vaporeon. We have the Vaporeon V. That is going straight into A tier. I love that card. Followed by the VMAX. I'll give the VMAX a C. It is really nice where it's swimming and you have a load of Pokemon swimming around it. It's really, really nice, but doesn't quite hit that B rank and definitely doesn't deserve the A rank along with its V. Next up are the Jolteons. I don't like either of the Jolteons. I'll give the Jolteon V a D. Not my favourite card, but the VMAX I definitely prefer over the V, and so we'll move that up to the C. And next up are the last 3 alternate art cards that were only released a couple of months ago, and that is the 3 Charizard. And first up is the Charizard V. Not my favourite. It's really nice, and for that reason I'll give it a C. Next up is one of my favourites, and that is the Charizard VMAX. And this is one of my all-time favourite alternate arts as well. I hate Charizard, don't get me wrong. Charizard is an absolute pain in the ass how many cards he gets, but the realism of that Charizard VMAX is just absolutely stunning. And last and not least is the Charizard V-Star, where he's fighting Mewtwo, and we can't deny that this card definitely is an absolute stunner, and that reason we'll be putting it into the A tier. So there we go, guys. There is my tier list of all of the Sword and Shield alternate arts up to the Charizard Premium Collection box. Let me know in your comments if you think I completely and utterly ruined this. Maybe your favourite alternate art card is in the shit pile. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. And I will catch you on the next one. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.